Dear friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's read. Before proceeding, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel. From the timeless collection of Kamla Das, let's read a beautiful story named Iqbal. Let's begin. One pineapple to lie at the side, and then the basket was ready. She had filled it with one layer of oranges, another of apples, and had spread over them pale green clusters of seedless grapes. In her handbag, she tucked in 2 bottles of cider, wondering if anyone recovering from an overdose of sleeping pills would be allowed to drink any alcoholic stuff. And yet, the bottles had added the right touch, for after all, the one who lay in the hospital was a poet, a miner, an unknown one perhaps, but a poet all the same. She recited Iqbal's short poem while she combed her long hair and tied it into a bun. What did he mean by those lines? She could never make out what her husband had found in the young man's verse to make him rave so over them. Meaningless, she said to herself, and wildly she stuck a pin into the knot of her hair. Now she was ready. Looking once again into the mirror, she saw the bulge of her belly hidden by the shimmering silk and felt proud. Swinging her bag gaily with one arm and holding the basket with the other, she went to the taxi stand. In the hospital, Iqbal was lying with his eyes shut right in a small room, and the nurse who ushered her in whispered, "He's out of danger now. He will be discharged after a day or two." She sat on a chair and deposited the basket on the floor. The white face, visible over the whiter bedsheet, looked pretty with its black curls, its full red lips, and the nose that was delicately transparent. Iqbal should have been a girl, she thought. He would be such a hit with the young men. Then she remembered her husband's panic-stricken face and his voice telling her that Iqbal had taken poison and was in the hospital. It was only at the time that she had first guessed the truth. During the days of their honeymoon, he had told her a lot about the young roommate of his YMCA days and had often recited his poems which are all about love. She had asked him if Iqbal was in love with any girl, and he had turned away without answering. She had even felt stabs of jealousy, but he had wrapped his pale white arms around her in a tight embrace and had made her quiet. "How pale your arms are!" she cried. She cried in amazement when she had for the first time undressed before her. "They have the luminescence of the moon." When they had come to Bombay, there was Iqbal at Dadar station waiting for them, standing under the blue lamps of the platform, wearing a navy blue shirt but sullen. And she asked her husband, "Why doesn't he smile? This Iqbal, this great friend of yours?" Iqbal avoided looking at her while he was being introduced. She walked slowly, allowing the men to go ahead of her, whispering, and anyway, the noise of the platform even at that hour was deafening. She was too busy watching the strange people around her to bother about her own husband and his young friend. After a week, when they had settled down, Iqbal was invited to spend a Sunday at their house, but the poet stayed for only an hour and left, explaining that he had to meet an uncle who had fallen ill suddenly. Her husband walked with him to the railway station and left her alone at home, wondering why he did not ask her to accompany them. 2 days later, she found a poem under a mattress. "Your flesh was the flesh of the moon, dear love. But I was an orphan nurtured by the moon. I drank the white milk of the moon and suckled her dry." When Iqbal refused to come to their place for Sunday lunches, her husband grew moody. "Oh, you are a suspicious woman," he said one day without any cause. "What is the matter with you?" she asked him. "Has anything gone wrong at the office? Why are you picking on me for nothing?" Her husband begged her to forgive him. "No, you are not at fault," he murmured. "The fault is mine." "What are you talking about?" she asked him. "I don't know what you are talking about." As the baby grew inside her and bulged below her navel, her husband became a devoted lover. He wanted to keep his ears pressed to her belly to hear the baby's heartbeat. We shall name him Iqbal, she said. We shall please your friend that way. Her husband buried his head in her lap, and for a minute she thought that he was sobbing. When Iqbal was rushed to the hospital, her husband got a message from an uncle. Then there was such a panic in the house. He went to sit beside the boy, and later, when he was out of danger, he came home and slept peacefully with his arm around her shoulder. When he had left for office, she had decided to visit Iqbal in the hospital. She had not consulted him. Iqbal opened his eyes and saw, his eyes widening in fright. The boy is afraid of me, she thought, with a feeling of triumph. I know why you did it, she said. Iqbal, I know why you did it. Iqbal did not speak. You are jealous of me, she continued. Why should I be jealous of you? Asked the young man wearily. She smiled. You are jealous? Because it is not possible for you to become pregnant. She stood up, revealing for one shimmering flash the convexity of her middle, and then she turned away to walk towards the door. Get out of here, you devil, hissed Iqbal. And instead of growing angry, she only felt her heart growing lighter and laughter bubbling up inside her throat. She closed the door, and the corridor rang with her laughter. Dear friends, this was the end of the story. Please stay tuned for another such stories. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel.